Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Millennium TV News. This is Fahmid Islam with you. Before moving on, let's look at today's top stories. Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans moving on, says Obama. Migrant crisis, Libya boat sink off Zuara carrying hundreds. Walmart to halt selling some military-grade weapons. Barack Obama says Virginia shooting breaks my heart. Prime Minister asks for more Spanish investments in Bangladesh. Those were the headlines, now the details. Residents of the lower Ninth Ward exemplify people building a better future out of tragedy and setting a positive example, said Mr. Obama. The mostly African-American neighborhood is still recovering from the disastrous 2005 storm. Hurricane Katrina killed nearly 2,000 people and displaced 1 million. Mr. Obama delivered remarks on Thursday at the Andrew P. Sanchez Community Center in the lower Ninth Ward. Not long ago, our gathering here might have seemed unlikely, said Mr. Obama. But today, this community center stands as a symbol of the extraordinary resilience of the city and its people of the entire Gulf Coast, indeed of the United States of America. You are an example of what's possible when, in the face of tragedy and hardship, good people come together and lend a hand and to building a better future. Mr. Obama said the storm made New Orleans, a city that embodies a celebration of life, suddenly seem devoid of life. African Americans and people in hard-hit parishes might not feel like they had recovered as much as the rest of the city, he said, but he was confident the city was moving in the right direction. He touted so many of New Orleans' achievements since the storm, like higher school graduation rates and eradicating veteran homelessness, and called the city the gateway to America's soul. The first boat, which capsized early on Thursday, had nearly 50 people on board. The second, which sank later, was carrying about 400 passengers. Rescuers have pulled 82 bodies from the water and saved 198 people, according to an official with the Red Crescent. About 100 people are still missing, said the official, Ibrahim Al-Atoshi. The boat sank on Thursday after leaving Zuara, a major launch pad on the Libyan coast for migrants hoping to reach Italy. The UN says about 2,400 migrants have died trying to cross the Mediterranean to Europe so far this year. More than 100,000 others have landed in Italy, whilst another 160,000 have crossed to Greece. The Libyan Coast Guard worked overnight on Thursday to search for survivors from the latest tragedy, but Libya is poorly equipped to carry out rescue operations as the ships available to its Coast Guard are small. BBC North Africa correspondent Rana Zawad reports from Tunis. At least 100 bodies were taken to a hospital in Zuara, west of Tripoli. The victims included migrants from Syria, Bangladesh, and several sub-Saharan African countries, the resident said, but the information could not be independently verified. A detention facility for illegal migrants in Sabratha, west of Tripoli, received 147 people. The bodies of 59 men, 8 women, and 4 children are thought to have been dead for 1.5 to 2 days. Police said the victims appeared to be migrants from Syria and probably died after suffocating in the vehicle. 3 people thought to be Bulgarian have been detained in Hungary. They are believed to have driven the lorry. Police sent to investigate the dumped lorry on the A4 motorway towards Vienna discovered the decomposing bodies on Thursday morning. The vehicle was towed to a customs building with refrigeration facilities where forensic teams worked through the night to examine the bodies. The victims are thought to have been dead when the vehicle crossed into Austria from Hungary. The local police chief said a travel document found on the vehicle suggested that the group were Syrian migrants. The 4 men used a shop in Switzerland as a front for their activities, the U.S. Treasury Department said. It says the farce still used drugs to fund their ruthless operation. Under the 1999 Kingpin Act, any assets the 4 men have in the U.S. will be frozen. American firms and citizens are banned from doing business with them. The 4 men on the sanctions list were named as Jose Vicente Pena Pacheco, Adolfo Fonegra Espejo, Ivan Gonzalez Zamorano, and Christian David Gonzalez Meija. They all live in Switzerland. No response from the 4 has been reported. In a statement, the Treasury said they had carried out money laundering and drug smuggling operations to the U.S. and other destinations through a shop in Zurich. Anthony Marotta, a senior U.S. Drugs Enforcement Agency chief official, said, "The FARC is a designated foreign terrorist organization, and we will remain vigilant in our efforts to hold them accountable. The FARC are engaged in peace talks with the Colombian government to end more than 50 years of conflict. Since the negotiations began in 2012, agreement has been reached on several issues: land reform, political participation by the rebels. If a peace deal is reached on drug trafficking, for decades the FARC has financed much of its operations through the sale of illegal drugs. That includes AR-15 rifles and other semi-automatic weapons, which were only being sold at a third of the 4,600 Walmart stores in the U.S. A company spokesman said the decision to stop selling the guns wasn't political. Walmart shops carrying the guns will remove them before the store starts selling autumn merchandise. It's similar to what we do with any product. Being what it is, it gets a little more attention, but it's the same process for any product," says spokesman Corey Lundberg. The company has not released specific sales numbers for the guns it is taking off the shelves, but said it will increase its stock of shotguns and other more popular rifles. Walmart shareholders have pushed the company to rethink its selling of guns with high-capacity magazines. Semi-automatic AR-15 rifles were used in the Sandy Hook massacre in Newtown, Connecticut, and the movie theater shooting in Aurora, Colorado. In 2006, the company decreased the number of stores selling guns but does not plan on stopping gun sales completely, said Mr. Lundberg. We'll take a short break here. You'll see in a moment with the headlines here. Virginia shooting Allison Parker's father in gun reform appeal. India celebrates victory in 1965 war with Pakistan. Maharashtra government plans microfinancing system, seeks help of Yunus. Usain Bolt knocked down in Beijing in pictures. Welcome back to Millennium TV News. Barack Obama says he's still hoping for tighter gun controls in the U.S. after the shooting of two journalists on TV Live in the state of Virginia. WDBJ7 TV reporter Allison Parker and cameraman Adam Ward were killed by Vester Lee Flanagan, an ex-employee of the network who was known professionally as Bryce Williams. The U.S. president called on the American people to apply pressure for change. "You need to do this, I will help you do this, and the press is with you on this because they just lost one of their own," says Andy Parker, and he told the BBC. Staff at WDBJ TV in Virginia have been mourning the loss of his daughter, a reporter and cameraman Adam Ward. They were shot dead live on air by a disgruntled ex-colleague on Wednesday. The attack has reignited the debate about gun control laws in the U.S. Mr. Parker acknowledged it would be an uphill battle to change the law, but said the president could take on the challenge as he had with other issues, including healthcare reform. "Mr. President, you need to do this. Please do it. Please do it for us and for other people so they are not going to lose their Allisons and their Adams," he said in an emotional message. President Pranab Mukherjee laid a wreath at the Martyrs Memorial at Delhi's India Gate Monument on Friday. Meanwhile, 8 civilians have been reportedly killed as India and Pakistan exchange fire in the Kashmir region. Kashmir, claimed by both countries in its entirety, has been a flashpoint for more than 60 years. Major Wahid Bukhari, a spokesman for Pakistani Rangers, told Reuters news agency that 5 civilians had been killed and 48 others treated for injuries after firing from the Indian side in the Sialkot area. And across the border, India's border security force said 3 civilians had died and 22 were wounded in firing across the border in the Jammu region. Both said the other side had opened fire first, and their accounts could not be independently verified. The South Asian rivals have fought 2 wars and a limited conflict over the region. The acting Afghan Defense Minister Masoom Stanekzi told the BBC that the country's security forces now face challenges after the withdrawal of NATO last December. This is the first fighting season for the Afghan National Forces without the help of the coalition troops. The Taliban took over the key district of Musa Qala in the southern province of Helmand earlier this week. They have also made advances in Kunduz province in the north and have hit the capital with a spate of attacks in recent weeks. Shaima Khalil spoke to the Afghan minister and reports from Kabul about the recent Taliban gains in the country. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina sought more Spanish investments in various sectors of Bangladesh, including power, energy and shipbuilding. The PM came up with the request when newly appointed Spanish ambassador to Bangladesh Eduardo de Legiesa, while Del Rosa met her at her office on Thursday. Sheikh Hasina congratulated the Spanish envoy on getting his new assignment in Bangladesh and assured him of extending all-out cooperation in discharging his duties. PM also highlighted the importance of high-level visits between Bangladesh and Spain. Speaking of the steps taken by the government for establishing special economic zones in the country, the Prime Minister had welcomed the Spanish envoy for investing there for mutual benefits. The Maharashtra government is seeking the help of Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, the father of microcredit, to introduce a microfinancing system for small and medium-scale industries in the state. State Finance Minister Sudhir Mungantiwar, Rural Development and Women and Child Development Minister Pankaj Munde, and Minister of State for Finance and Rural Development Deepak Kesarwar still hold a preliminary meeting with Yunus on September 6. He is an expert in the field and can help us chalk out a roadmap for introducing microfinancing in Maharashtra. We will meet him over lunch to discuss the experience in Bangladesh, the problems they faced there, and the challenges, said Mungantiwar. The Maharashtra government has set aside rupees 200 crore for small industries in the state budget for 2015-16. We have already sanctioned the amount in the budget, but the idea is to see if we can develop a system where funds can be sustained by giving the aid as loans and recovering it, instead of a grant, added Mungantiwar. Now the business news. At the close, the Dow Jones was 366.72 points or 2.3% at 16,285.51, with the dollar and pence 500 up to 2.43% at 1,987.66 and the Nasdaq up 2.45%. Second quarter growth figures were revised up from 3.7% from 2.3%. Oil also rose sharply with both Brent and U.S. light crude up 10% to $47.56 and $42.76 a barrel, respectively. Among the top 5 Dow gainers were Chevron, up by more than 6%, and ExxonMobil, up by 3.2%. Traders said the rally was helped by Fed member comments indicating a September rate rise was less likely. Despite the good GDP numbers that we saw today, September largely seems off the table because of the turmoil that we have seen in the past week, said Scott Brown, chief economist at Raymond James. In China, where steep share price falls this week sparked a global sell-off, shares managed to rise up 5%. In company news, shares in the jewelry firm Tiffany fell 2% after it unexpectedly reported a decline in full-year profit. On Friday, the mainland's benchmark Shanghai Composite closed up 4.8% at 3,232 points. China's second bourse, the Shenzhen Composite, closed up 5.4% to 1,846 points but ended the week 9.4% lower. Other stock markets in Asia also continued their rebound, helped by a strong finish for U.S. shares. Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 closed up 3% at 19,136 points, but the Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong reserved earlier gains to close down 1%. The Hang Seng ended the week 3.6% lower, its sixth consecutive weekly fall. Dominic Chan, analyst at GF Securities in Hong Kong, said investor confidence remains shaky. Some took profit as they think the rally is not sustainable. Now the sports news. Bolt was celebrating his win in the 200-meter sprint at the World Athletics Championships when the cameraman lost control of his motorized scooter as it rolled over and crashed into the runner's legs. The Jamaican did a backward roll and got back on his feet. He briefly rubbed his ankle before continuing to celebrate with fans. He later told reporters, "Accidents happen. I have a few cuts, but it is nothing that I have never done to myself in training. I will be all right." Lionel Messi was named the UEFA Best Player in Europe for the 2014-15 season for helping Barcelona to a treble of trophies. The Argentine star defeated the other finalists, his Barcelona teammate Luis Suarez and Real Madrid's Cristiano Ronaldo, who won the award a year ago after a live vote of journalists. Messi received the accolade after Thursday's Champions League group stage draw was made, as the holders were against Bayer Leverkusen, Roma and Bate Borisov. The four-time FIFA World Player of the Year scored 58 goals in all competitions while leading Barcelona to titles in La Liga, Del Rey and the Champions League. Ronaldo scored 61 goals, but Real Madrid failed to win any major trophies. Suarez, who scored the decisive second goal in the 3-1 final win over Juventus, reached the shortlist despite starting his season in late October. The Uruguay forward served a FIFA ban for biting at the 2014 World Cup. Let's have a look at Millennium TV News Recap. Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans moving on, says Obama. Migrant crisis, Libya boats sink off Zuara carrying hundreds. Walmart to halt selling some military-grade weapons. Barack Obama says Virginia shooting breaks my heart. Prime Minister asks for more Spanish investments in Bangladesh. You are up to date with our top stories so far here on Millennium TV, and don't forget to log into www.millenniumtv.net. Thanks for staying with us. Allah Hafiz.